Police stop a black woman, then discover she's their new chief. They thought they were in control. Two officers, pulling over a lone driver, ready to throw their weight around. But what they didn't know was that the woman behind the wheel wasn't just any driver. She was their new boss, the chief of police. And this stop was about to change everything. Kendra Hayes had always been a woman of quiet strength. A woman who knew what it meant to rise above. After years of hard work, today marked the beginning of a new chapter, her first day as the chief of police in the bustling town of Cedar View. It was an achievement she had fought for, overcoming countless barriers, including a justice system that had often been built to keep her and others like her down. The early morning sun cast a warm glow over the horizon as she drove down the winding highway leading into the city. Her hands gripped the steering wheel just a bit tighter than usual. This was supposed to be a day of celebration. But something inside her whispered unease. Cedar View wasn't just any town, it had a reputation. Known for its deeply conservative culture, and a police department long marred by reports of bias, particularly against minorities. Kendra had read the reports, heard the stories. And she knew, not everyone was happy about her appointment. A black woman taking command? To some, it was progress. To others, it was a threat. Still, Kendra wasn't one to back down. She had faced worse before. As she approached a red light, blue and red flashes suddenly filled her rearview mirror. A patrol car. Sirens blaring. Her heart skipped a beat, not out of fear, but frustration. She pulled over, tires crunching against the gravel shoulder. Two officers, both white, stepped out of the vehicle. The senior officer, a broad-shouldered man in his late 40s, approached her car with a deliberate stride. Behind him, a younger officer followed, sharp, impatient, eyes full of suspicion. Kendra lowered her window, calm but alert. Senior officer, flatly. License and registration. Kendra silently handed over her documents. She had learned long ago, silence could be her strongest weapon. The senior officer's eyes narrowed slightly, studying her. The younger one leaned in. Young officer, suspicious. What brings you out here? This area's not exactly safe, if you know what I mean. Kendra's stomach turned. She knew that tone. That condescension wrapped in fake concern. Kendra, evenly. I'm on my way to work. Young officer. Oh yeah? And where exactly would that be? His smirk said it all. He had already judged her. Kendra paused. She could reveal who she was right then and there, but something told her not to. This wasn't just about her ego. It was a test, one she had seen 100 times before. Kendra. You'll find out soon enough. Her tone was calm, her eyes steady, a quiet defiance that made the younger officer's smirk falter. The senior officer stepped in, his voice taking on a warning edge. Senior officer. Let's not make this difficult, ma'am. We can take this further if need be. There it was, the threat. The "you better obey" that came from years of unchecked authority. Kendra took a deep breath. She had tolerated this kind of behavior for years, assumptions, disrespect, microaggressions wrapped in authority. But not today. Kendra, firmly. That won't be necessary. She looked the senior officer square in the eye. Kendra. I'm Chief Kendra Hayes. I suggest you rethink how you're handling this situation. The air went still. Both officers froze. The senior one blinked, confusion spreading across his face. The younger officer's smirk evaporated into shock, and then panic. Senior officer, stammering. You're the chief. Kendra. Yes. And I'd like to know why I was stopped, and why this line of questioning was even happening. Neither man spoke. The young one fumbled for words. Kendra, cutting in. No. Don't bother. This isn't a misunderstanding, this is the problem. Her voice sharpened, but she didn't raise it. Her control made her more commanding than any shout ever could. Kendra. You stop people like me without cause. You make assumptions. You flex your authority because you think you can get away with it. Well, not anymore. The senior officer swallowed hard, his earlier confidence gone. Kendra. It's officers like you who make people distrust the system. And it's people like me, who are here to change that. Silence. The gravel crunched beneath her shoes as she stepped out of her car, tall, proud, unafraid. Kendra. You'll both be reporting to me personally for the next few weeks. I'll review every stop you make. And I suggest you think long and hard about how you handle yourselves from now on. Senior officer. Chief, we didn't mean any disrespect. It won't happen again. Kendra, quietly. Good. Because next time, it won't just be a warning. She turned back to her car, leaving them standing there, two men humbled by a woman they had just tried to intimidate. Later that morning, Kendra stood at the front of the Cedar View Police Department's main briefing room. The air was thick with tension. Every officer in the room knew what had happened. Kendra, addressing the room. I'm not here to embarrass anyone. But I am here to make it clear, this kind of behavior stops now. Her voice was steady, commanding. No anger, just conviction. Kendra. Every officer here will be held accountable for how they treat the citizens of this town. Regardless of their race, gender, or background. A low murmur rippled through the room. Some faces showed agreement, others, resentment. Kendra scanned them all. She could tell who would stand with her, and who would fight her change every step of the way. Kendra. This is your chance to prove that you are the kind of officers who serve with integrity. But hear me now, I will not tolerate bias. I will not tolerate disrespect. And I will not tolerate anyone who thinks they are above the law. Her words echoed off the walls. Some officers looked away, uneasy. Others nodded quietly, maybe, for the first time, feeling hope. Over the next few weeks, word of the incident spread through Cedar View like wildfire. For some, it was a sign of long overdue change. For others, it was a threat to the old order. The local news picked up the story. Headlines read: Chief Hayes confronts biased policing on day 1. Kendra didn't seek attention. She didn't want to be a symbol. But the truth had a way of spreading. Community members started coming forward, people who had once been too afraid to speak. And inside the department, things began to shift. Officers who once scoffed at her leadership now found themselves questioning their behavior. Training sessions were reformed. Procedures were rewritten. The message was clear, Cedar View was changing. One evening, weeks later, Kendra walked out of the precinct. The city skyline glowed gold beneath the sunset. She stood by her car, the same one she had been stopped in that first morning, and smiled softly. She had won the first battle. But there were many more ahead. For every officer like those two on the highway, there were dozens more who needed to learn. But Kendra wasn't afraid. Because she knew now, her role was bigger than a title. It was a promise. A promise to every person who had ever felt powerless in front of a flashing light. Kendra, quietly to herself. They thought they were in control. But control doesn't come from fear, it comes from justice. She got into her car, the radio playing softly, and drove off into the fading light. And so began Chief Kendra Hayes' story. Not just a story about power, but about purpose, and what it truly means to lead with integrity. In a world that still needs reminding what justice looks like. Lesson of the story. True authority isn't about power, it's about respect, integrity, and fairness. This story reminds us that assumptions based on color, gender, or position can blind us to someone's true worth. Real leadership is not about commanding fear, but earning respect through justice and compassion. Change begins when courage stands up against prejudice.